What is up, Raider Nation? Monday morning, going into week 3, and it's Victory Monday for the Raiders. You have to feel good about that win. After our initial reactions and going back and looking at this game, this is a tale of two halves, really. The first half was just kind of horrendous for the Raiders offense, but you saw the leadership out of Max Crosby. You saw Antonio Pierce go up and talk to Luke Getsy and say, we need to get things correct at halftime. And the Raiders went into halftime and just came out as a totally different team. And what they performed on the field with the 20 points that they put up, Gardner Minshew on the season is like throwing 76%, which is it was just unbelievable to be throwing 76%. But this shows you right here the life of an NFL quarterback, right? That 1 week Gardner Minshew is taking all of the blame for the loss, and the next week Gardner Minshew is getting all the love and all the support. So the Raiders 26-23 victory. Going in, you knew they had to hold on to Lamar Jackson, how to contain him, and that is something they did. Lamar Jackson had 100-something yards rushing against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, 45 on only 5 carries versus the Raiders this week. The Raiders did a very good job at containing it. Even when Derrick Henry had a few runs, they were all to the left or to the opposite side of Max Crosby. And that's something that the Raiders are going to have to address this week, is getting somebody over there to replace Malcolm Kuntz. That is a huge loss for the Raiders, and we've seen it for the last 2 weeks. Missing Malcolm Kuntz hurts. The Raiders were able to pull this game off because when they came back after halftime, who did they put the game in the hands of? Their playmakers, Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, all of them, both of them came out and balled out. They found Jacoby Myers. Usually you have to run the ball to get the passing game going. Well, it looks like the Raiders are going to have to do it the opposite way. Looks like the Raiders are going to have to be that pass team and then get the run going after that. And that's okay. We'll take that. But the Raiders defense is a very good, very elite defense, and you saw it out there. Robert Spillane is showing you why he might be one of the best linebackers in the league. His second game in a row where he has 10 tackles, and he had a great interception to turn the game towards the Raiders and give the momentum over. Max Crosby, 2 sacks yesterday, 3 on the season, came out ready to dominate, and just a great overall team. But one guy that the Raider Nation needs to be given the flowers to is second-year defensive back Jaquarian Bennett. What a great defensive back. Last year struggled a little bit in his rookie season, got benched, and never gave up, came back in the offseason, worked hard, and now look at him after 2 games. Bennett is an unbelievable player out there. And this right here, there was a lot of things wrong. Our offensive line still needs a lot of work to do going into week 3. Offensive line needs to get that shit together. They need to figure out who they're going to put at the guard spot and find somebody that wants to be out there and wants to play it. But this right here is a great building block towards the future. Pulling this win off shows you that this is the new type of Raiders. Antonio Pierce is bringing a new attitude to the Raiders, that this is what we thought we would get when he was the head coach. When there is adversity, when everybody is putting this team down, Antonio Pierce is back up, letting them know that, hey, that's not us. It wasn't us in week 1. Let's go out there and show the world and pull the upset. This is a big win for the Raiders, a big win for Antonio Pierce and the rest of this team. It showed that they don't quit and they go out there and dominate when they need to. George, what's up, man? George Medina, what's going on? Yes, I will be in Las Vegas this weekend for the Carolina Panthers game. where the Carolina Panthers have just benched Bryce Young, their second-year quarterback, young quarterback, who's been really, you're going to put everything on Bryce Young. That's crazy. So the Raiders will face Andy Dalton, the veteran quarterback. Andy Dalton going to make his start against the Raiders. I don't know if that's going to make a big difference for the Carolina Panthers, to be honest with you. Carolina Panthers offense struggles no matter who's back there. I don't give a damn what. I don't give a damn what Andy Dalton's record is against the Raiders. Before last week, Lamar Jackson had never lost 2 games in a row, never started 0-2. And guess what? Lamar Jackson lost 2 in a row. Before last week, the Raiders were like 1-70 when going into the fourth quarter, down by 10. I hope that with the Panthers starting Andy Dalton, that everybody starts doubting the Raiders again. I hope that's the issue again. Go ahead and throw out any stat that you have about Andy Dalton. Go ahead and tell me how the Raiders aren't going to beat the Panthers. Just like every expert last week told us that the Raiders had no chance going in to Baltimore this week. Today has been a crazy, crazy day for me because I've had more Raider fans come after me today and attack me because I said the Raiders are going to win, and they said, and they're pissed off that their own team lost. I don't get some of these Raider fans that are mad because every week I bring and I tell you that I'm backing the Raiders, and that's what a true fan does, right? A true fan. Like one guy was telling me in my comments, he's like, I'm a football coach. I coach and watch film, and there's no way that the Raiders will beat the Ravens. If that motherfucker was coaching my team, if he was coaching my kid's team, I would pull my kid off his team right now because even he has no faith going into a game. You got to know that any given Sunday, an NFL team can beat another NFL team. That's what is so damn great about the NFL. Is every Sunday is different. Just when you think you know, you don't know shit. And that's amazing. And these Raiders, you just had to look at these Raiders and to them all week going into Baltimore. The doubt that was getting put on them. Our own beat reporters leaving the video on and talking crap about it. And you don't think the Raiders heard that in their locker room? And you don't think the Raiders wanted to come out here and change it? What a big win. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not like people that call themselves realistic fans. Realistic Raider fans. That to me means that you only show up when things are going good. And if you know and you've been a Raider fan, you know things haven't been going good for 20 plus fucking years, right? For 20 years, we have been hurting. We have been going through the ups and downs. And it's so you, as a realistic fan, basically, I call you a quitter. Basically, I'd say that you can't hang with the Raider Nation when things get tough. That's what I said. That's what I said. But anyways, what a great game for the Raiders going into Carolina, which could be a good win for the Raiders. They can't get overconfident. They can't overlook the Carolina Panthers. They have to go in here knowing that this is just the same game and put on a show for the Raiders. This is our first home game of the season, so I expect Raider fans to show up. Raider fans, get your tickets. Be at the game. We got to be there. This is some of the cheapest tickets I've seen for a Raider home opener in Las Vegas since they've opened the stadium. Some of the cheapest tickets I've ever seen for a Raider game in Las Vegas. So, yes, I understand that it is expensive. But if you have the means to be at the Raider game on Sunday, let's go and represent the Raiders, because the Raiders backed up our trash talk all week, and they came out here and they knocked off Lamar Jackson, And one way that we can repay them is being there in person on Sunday for the Panther game. Now, if you look at the Carolina Panthers and you see what they're about, they've lost to the New Orleans Saints big time, right? Then last week they played the Chargers and they hung with the Chargers for a little bit, just a little bit. They hung with the Chargers and then eventually got blown out in that game as well. 47 points in their first game and then 26 points in the next game. They've only scored 13 points. It's one of the worst lopsided points differentials in history of the NFL. And this is something that you knew the Carolina Panthers would do going into the season. This is a three-peat that nobody is talking about. The Carolina Panthers are on the verge of a three-peat, and nobody is talking about it. Everybody wants to talk about the Chiefs and their three-peat when we got the Carolina Panthers on the verge of being 3 years in a row with somehow owning the number one overall pick. And that right there is insane. Bryce Young in 2 games, and he's going to get benched this game, only had 245 yards passing. Chuba Hubbard, their number one running back, has 16 carries. 16 carries for 78 yards. Adam Thielen only has 5 catches on the season for 69 yards. This is just maybe going to Andy Dalton can light a little bit of spark in it. But really, do you believe that Andy Dalton is going to do anything much better than Bryce Young has for that game? Hell to the no. There is absolutely no faith. And you can say Andy Dalton's a veteran guy. Andy Dalton's going to come in here and lead the team and do some stuff. No, because that's Andy Dalton's still not going to fix the Carolina defense. That defense, is Andy Dalton going to come in there and stop teams from scoring on them? If you look at the Raiders' offense, the Raider offense has so many weapons, and that's what pissed Raider fans off more so in week 1 and the first half of week 2, is that we had so many weapons and we weren't being able to use them. And then Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, and Gardner Minshew started to find their groove. Gardner Minshew was able to start moving and do his mobility, something that we were yelling for 6 quarters. Let Gardner Minshew run. If you pick Gardner Minshew over AOC to be the starting quarterback, but for 6 quarters, you didn't allow Minshew to be Minshew, that was on Luke Getsy. But at halftime, it clicked. And it looked, you saw Antonio Pierce talk to Luke Getsy. You saw Max Crosby go up to Gardner Minshew and basically say, we got you. And that right there, Raider fans, we're going to be looking back at those 2 moments in the game yesterday in a few months and going, that right there is what turned our season around. It is what got the Raiders going right there. Max Crosby, Antonio Pierce hold people accountable, because if they have a standard for themselves, they want you to have that same standard. And that's amazing from what we saw from them. I expect the Raiders to, again, try to get the running game going and get Zamir White going. And once we can get the running game going, our offense should be great and should be unstoppable. Gardner Minshew, limit his mistakes. And like I talked about it, if the Raiders went back and played the Charger game, you can't live in the past, but I think they would have played it differently. Max, they finally opened it up where I said it looked like they were trying to limit mistakes on offense, trying not to let the offense lose the game. And it looked like Gardner Minshew was afraid to let the ball go in certain situations that he normally was. Like he was kind of playing scared. But then finally they said, fuck it. Let our offense be. And if the mistakes happen, they happen. But our defense is so damn good. Our defense is a bend, don't break defense where, yeah, you might be able to get a 20-yard breakaway play, one big play, but the Raiders aren't going to let you score that touchdown. And that's the great thing about our defense is they're going to hold people to field goals and keep them down. The Carolina Panthers have given up 73 points. 73 points allowed, 13 for them. That's ridiculous. That right there is a horrible stack, and we'll see what happens. But Raider fans, be excited. Great win for us this week. Good turning point for the team. And this is what we talked about from the preseason all the way to now is building the bricks. Building the bricks. Remember Antonio Pierce during one of the training camp sessions, he had every player write on a brick, sign their name, and bring the brick up. And they built the brick because they're building a brick house in Las Vegas. And it's going to take time. But you got to trust what Antonio Pierce is bringing to this team. Raider Nation, stand up. What a great win. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.